All is not well at Barcelona. This is the front page of Le Sport 2. Neither at home. This is the first time in the group stages of the Champions League that Barca haven't scored at the Camp Nou since 2003. Don, what's going wrong?
I think they're getting a little bit old. I commentated on the game against Slavia Prague in midweek, and their midfield was non-existent, really. I mean, terrific players when they're on the ball. Frankie de Jong is going to be a superstar, and he'll play there for 10 years in that midfield. But Father Time, unfortunately, has catch up to Sergio Busquets. He looks a little bit slow and a little bit laboured. Arturo Vidal is a real competitor, puts himself around the pitch. But it was quite evident against Slavia Prague when Slavia Prague were pressing Barca high up the pitch. They really, really struggled, especially in midfield. And you think about the spine of their side, it is getting a little bit Asian, it is getting a little bit slow. You think of Busquets at the back, in midfield, and you think Piqué at the back and Vidal, as I mentioned. And Luis Suarez hasn't featured, but he's not the quickest anymore. They still rely on him. And it's going to take a little bit of an overhaul. Dembele was great the other night for about an hour. Fati then came off the bench, the youngster. So it's a case of Valverde's men being under transition, but I think that scar in that defeat against Liverpool last season, I think it's weighing him down slightly, and it's becoming a little bit of a cloud above him, and it's a noose around his neck at the moment because they are really struggling.
Don, a lot of people are calling for Valverde's head. However, you're suggesting that maybe he can't do much with the squad that he has?
No, I think he can certainly do better. I think it's a very talented squad. He's got to get them playing well. The game against Slavia was a really strange game because Slavia Prague played a really high line, which was suicidal, really, when you think, the way Barcelona play with Semedo and Dembele, the speed, and Albert at fullbacks, the speed they've got on the counter. But it was almost like they showed no fear. Now, that's not really been done or really been said about Barca over the years, especially at the Camp Nou. They've always been strong. You always fancy them to put a number past anyone. But I think, like the great teams, it always happens where teams just lose their fear factor, and I think it's starting to happen to Barca.
Are we being too critical of Barcelona? They're going to qualify the group stages, top of La Liga.
No, it's a real tough one. The top of the Liga, they are going to qualify, but yet we're kind of suggesting that the manager has to go. I think I'm with Don in this. I think the squad they have just isn't good enough. Defensively they can be got at, and the reason that you can get at them is because the midfield's not strong enough.
Right.
And going forward, right now and for some time, certainly since the start of the season, there is no chemistry at all with the front players. Griezmann's out on his own. Dembele, for me, is out on his own. Yes, he was great for an hour, but then previously you don't know where he is. I mean, where's the strength of this team? Yeah. But they're top of the league, and they're going to qualify. It's a real head scratcher.
When you think about the strength of Barcelona over the years, it's that passing and moving game. Whenever they were in possession of the ball, they had 4 and 5 passing options. That's why they were so good. Now they look so disjointed that there's no unity between the lines. It was so apparent that there's something going on with Griezmann because he was getting into areas where he should have been slid in.
Sure.
And he's not being slid in. And I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? Yeah, Messi, he could have had a hat-trick, actually. Maybe he should have slid Griezmann, and hit the bar in the first half. But there's just nothing going on. There's no cohesion between the lines, and it looks as though it's sort of off-the-cuff stuff, which you never say that about Barcelona.
For me, yes. I think we're right to criticise Barcelona. They sit on top of the league in La Liga, but we've questioned Real Madrid. Atletico haven't put up the kind of fight that we expected. Similarly, in the Champions League, we continue to question both Inter and Borussia Dortmund. You see their own inconsistencies. And when you have a player like Lionel Messi, and what you've come to expect of Barcelona, you expect a whole lot more. For me, and Don hit the nail on the head, they simply have no creativity in midfield. De Jong, for me, is easily the most accomplished, most comfortable on the ball, but he has to sit right in front of the back four, and as a result, it's a totally disjointed team. And given the way that Barcelona press and kind of play high up the park, one ball over the top, and they're always exposed.
Yep.
So whenever you see Barcelona play, regardless of what's going on up front, every time the opposition kicks the ball over the top, you've got your heart in your mouth because you're not quite sure what they're going to do, and you're hoping for Ter Stegen to continue to perform heroics. I think Valverde is still the Barcelona manager, thanks to everybody else kind of dropping the battle themselves, as I mentioned, and the fact that, as we've been seeing quite a lot about a number of other managers, you're not quite sure who's your ready-made successor.
But as we've mentioned, Barcelona are top of La Liga. It's tight, isn't it, in Spain? Level on points with Real Madrid and Real Sociedad. And then it's Atleti, Sevilla, just 1 point adrift. Granada then in 6th, 2 points off the top spot.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN+.